Today we're going to beat Pokemon Emerald with only one Absol. I think it's a fitting Pokemon to do a playthrough with around Halloween, since it's an intimidating dark type, and one of the coolest Pokemon introduced in Generation 3. I nicknamed my Absol Omen because this doggo is known for alerting humans to impending natural disasters. I remember first finding this thing in the wild while playing Ruby as a kid and catching it immediately to add to my team just because of how awesome it looked. And it doesn't only look awesome because it has excellent stats. It's got 65 HP, 75 special attack, and 75 speed. While it is a bit frail with 60 defense and 60 special defense, it has 130 attack. Like, this thing is such a beast. One drawback to its stats is how they're distributed, because in Generation 3, all Dark-type moves deal special damage. However, after checking Absol's move pool, I realized this wasn't as much of an issue as I thought. It learns only one damage-dealing Dark-type move by level up, which is Bite at level 21. Yeah, this thing doesn't even get access to Crunch. Other than that, it learns mostly normal-type moves, and because it's primarily a white color scheme, when I was a kid, I actually thought it was a normal type. Its normal type attacks include Quick Attack, Razor Wind, yes, this is a normal type move, Swords Dance, Double Team, Slash, and Perish Song. Yes, this is also a normal type move. It does sound like it should be Ghost type. Anyways, through TMs and HMs, it has access to decently wide type coverage. Okay, here I go. This is a Generation 3 move pool, so there's quite a few moves. Water Pulse, Calm Mind, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Rain Dance, Iron Tail, Thunderbolt, Return, Shadow Wall, Shockwave, Flamethrower, Sandstorm, Fire Blast, Aerial Ace, Secret Power, Thief, and Rock Smash. It's such a breath of fresh air having all of these moves when compared to some of the Generation 1 movesets. Especially Rock-type movesets. I'm looking at you, Ammonite and Kabuto. As I've only recently been embarking on learning Generation 3, all of your comments have been so helpful, and one thing that many of you have pointed out is that I shouldn't be picking a nature that lowers my speed. So today I decided to go with a naughty nature which boosts attack and lowers special defense. I figured since Absol is weak to fighting and bug types which only deal physical damage, that Absol couldn't afford to lose its physical defense. Plus, Steven could be quite challenging as he deals primarily physical damage. Also, his typing means that he resists my most powerful moves. Yes, in Generation 3, Steel resists Dark types. Also, since natures provide a percentage boost, it will decrease my special defense by a small amount while boosting my attack by an incredible amount. So that's why I went with this nature. Hopefully it's a good idea. Let me know in the comments. Because Absol doesn't get access to any good Dark-type moves through level up, I also decided to go with Hidden Power Dark. This also means I can't have perfect IVs, so it's going to power up Absol just a little bit more than a different type might. Another thing I've been learning from your comments is that in Emerald version, it doesn't make much sense to skip trainers in the early portions of the game. In Generation 1 and 2, it does make sense, so I'm having to really adjust to that. This is especially true for the spinning trainers, because if every time I have to go past them I need to use the bag trick, that's probably going to waste more time than just fighting them once initially. Plus, earning experience from the battle will hopefully allow me to progress without resets and save time later on. Today, it makes a lot of sense to do this with Absol, because Roxanne is the first gym leader, and I only have normal moves to defeat her. I'm starting to get flashbacks to facing Brock with normal types in Pokemon Yellow. Hopefully though, Absol's incredible attack is going to make this possible at a decently low level. In Rustboro City, I grab Cut, buy some repels, and head north to Route 116 to do some additional training. While doing this, I made the snap decision and taught Razor Wind over Leer. I was thinking Razor Wind sounds like it's going to be an awesome flying type move that deals special damage. After all, it's the wind. Unfortunately, this is a normal type move, which makes it physical, and it's just bad. It has to be one of the moves that Game Freak has gone back and forth on the most. In Generation 1, it's quite possibly one of the worst moves in the entire game. It takes a turn to charge up and does nothing for that turn, which you can still be hit during, and then it deals damage on the second turn. In Generation 2, they decided, well, this move that's trash, we need to incentivize players to use it, so let's make it better. And they gave it an increased crit rate. But then in Generation 3, they're just like, no, it's way too good now. And they actually took away its increased crit rate. So yeah, today it's not going to be useful at all. I immediately realized that removing Leer for this trash move wasn't a good idea, especially since Leer can be useful to soften up Roxanne's defensive rocks. So I reset and did 2 battles over again so that I could keep Leer. To continue the theme of battling all the trainers, I fight everyone in Roxanne's gym, and after all that, Absol is level 18. Will this be enough? Let's find out. Roxanne leads with Geodude. I go for Leer first turn, lowering its defense, and then it strikes back with Rock Tomb, doing a small amount of damage and lowering Absol's speed in the process. I decided to go for one more Leer just to soften the Geodude up a little bit more. Roxanne once again hits with Rock Throw. Come on, Geodude, couldn't you just hit with Tackle or something else? It misses Rock Tomb. Alright, that's better, but my next quick attack crits, knocking it out. It's so refreshing that crits are always a good thing in Generation 3. Okay, I've got to take out another Geodude now, and I've already lost half my health. This fight isn't going as well as I wanted it to. Absol eats its Oran Berry, and then almost knocks Geodude out, but it survives on red and finishes me off. So I didn't even make it to the nose pass, and that thing is really beefy. Before trying this fight again, I think it makes more sense to level up to 21 so that Absol learns Bite. Since damage category is determined by a move's type until Generation 4, it's going to be dealing special damage, and rock types are not known for their special defenses. Well, I guess this thing does have decent special defense. Why? It's a nose. While I'm training, I run into an Abra, and I actually managed to catch it, which is really lucky. Now I can use it throughout the playthrough to save some time because of teleport. I finished my training by teaching Absol Bite in the place of Razor Wind, and good riddance, I didn't even use it once. Now, I'm ready to face Roxanne again. As I started this fight, I was imagining Absol just biting rocks, and yeah, it's very strange. Absol, you must have some really strong teeth. It finishes off both the Geodude in single hits, and Nose Pass hits the field. Bite does more than half, Rock Tomb misses, but unfortunately, the nose eats a berry and heals itself enough to avoid getting KO'd on the next turn. Because of that, Roxanne uses a potion to heal it, prolonging the fight, and once again, Bite fails to get the KO. Come on, Nose Pass, just fate! However, now Roxanne's out of healing items, and I'm able to knock it out and earn myself the Stone Badge. With it, Absol gets a 10% boost to its attack stat, which is very nice. I can't believe that my attack stat is almost double every one of my other stats. It's getting close to tripling my special defense. With this attack boost, my confidence is really building. I save Pico from the Team Aqua Grunt, and then I decide that in the spirit of not skipping battles, I should face May before proceeding to Dewford Town. Her lead is Lotad, by the way. This thing is so bad. It's more like low bad. Game Freak is continuing their legacy from Generation 2 here by introducing new Pokemon and finding ways to prevent the player from using them in playthroughs. Both Lotad and Seedot start with such awful moves. As a kid, I never wanted to use either of them because of this. Like, Seedot only starts with Bide. Lotad does get it slightly better, but Astonish isn't very astonishing. Also, they both require stones to evolve, and obtaining them is not as easy as it was in Generation 1. Maybe it's for the best though, because Shiftry is not aesthetically pleasing. Also, Nuzleaf has nipples. So that's it for the May battle. Now, let's take a trip on a boat. On Dewford Island, I decided to face Brawley. That's because I completely forgot the type chart. Also, I was getting very overconfident because Absol is pretty overleveled and its attack stat is great. You can see at the start of this fight that I sort of had an oh crap moment where I realized that Karate Chop is now a fighting type move. Thanks Generation 1, you've taught me all the wrong things. Oh great, so it also got a critical hit. Absol restores some of its health with an Oran Berry, and then once again, I forgot the type chart and used Bite against Machop. Not a good choice. I'm a slow learner, bear with me please. I do manage to survive the next hit, but Brawley uses a Super Potion healing Machop, and now there isn't any hope of victory. Since you can skip him until after you've defeated Flannery, I think that's going to be the best course of action today. So for now, I have to deliver the letter to Steven, and then I can make my way to Slateport City. I beat up the Aqua Grunts in the museum, head north, fight some optional trainers, clearing the path for when I backtrack through here later, and after that, I'm ready to face May again. Alright, last fight I made fun of Lotad, and now it's time for you, Wingull. Honestly, I don't have much bad to say about this thing though, it's so cute. But it does evolve into the most annoying, time-wasting, protect-spamming Pokemon in the entire generation. I finish it off with a single bite, and next up is Combusken. I get the type chart right this time and use Quick Attack, which does half, and then May sets up Focus Energy. Now once again, my Generation 1 knowledge makes me complacent because I'm used to this move being completely useless. But today, that isn't the case. Also, for some reason, I decide to not use Quick Attack again and go for Bite. This lets Combusken survive and strike back with Double Kick, which gets a critical hit aided by Focus Energy, and Absol gets knocked out. So that's a really embarrassing way to lose. Let's try that again. This time Double Kick gets a crit. I remember to continue using Quick Attack, and I knock the Combusken out. The experience it provides levels Absol up, and it starts to learn Swords Dance. Stat boosting moves are incredible in solo challenges, and with Absol's attack, this is going to be so much fun to use. Lombre follows, and it really isn't something to worry about, so I finish it off, and now I'm heading towards Wally City. Something I'm learning about Generation 3 is that Watson is very intimidating. After facing him with Ludicolo and Marshtomp, I am starting to believe that he might be one of the most terrifying gym leaders in any Pokemon game. Especially in Pokemon Emerald, because his team got a big upgrade here. He's really not as good in Ruby and Sapphire. To prepare, I fight more mandatory trainers in the surrounding routes to give Absol as much experience as is practical before I face him. This guitarist over here always catches me when I try to squeeze by him to surf later on, so I decide to face him now so I don't have to waste time with the bag trick later on. Oh great, he has a Magnemite. So this is going to be a great test to see how Watson's Magneton is going to be for later on. I decide to set up Swords Dance first turn, and then the guitarist has a big brain moment and uses Supersonic, confusing Absol. Oh no, that's not good. When your Pokemon hits itself in confusion, the damage dealt is calculated by using its attack stat and its defense stat. After one Swords Dance, Absol currently has 202 attack and 47 defense. As a result, it hits itself for half. Magnemite uses Metal Sound, which lowers my special defense. That's not going to matter that much, because my next Quick Attack connects, and the Steel type gets taken out. Okay, that's a big relief. At least I'm dealing decent damage to the Steel types with normal moves. Oh, but this guy still has a Whismur. Because Absol's still confused, this fight isn't over. Unfortunately, Absol hits itself, and that's a reset. So, I guess I have to fight May again. Instead of rolling the dice against the Combusken and potentially losing if it gets a critical hit, I train a little bit in the wild so that Absol learns Swords Dance. Then I can sweep through her team with ease. I decide to get my revenge against the guitarist as well. This time I save in front of him. Luckily, he doesn't use Supersonic and I take a quick victory. Now, it's time for Watson. First is Voltorb, and I think it's going to provide me the opportunity I need to get set up with Swords Dance. And then, hopefully I'll be able to sweep his entire team. Obviously, I'm thinking that Magneton is going to survive one hit, but I've brought a Cherry Berry into the fight because it loves to use Thunder Wave on the first turn. After using Swords Dance for a third time and completing my setup, Voltorb's Spark causes paralysis, and that means I won't have the berry for Magneton anymore. Quick Attack knocks the Pokeball out, and the Electrike that follows is no different. Now, it's time for the bolts. Quick Attack takes it down to orange, and as predicted, it uses Thunder Wave, paralyzing Absol. But I get another move in and knock it out. Okay, all that's left is the Manectric. Luckily for me, Quick Attack is a priority move, so despite my speed being cut, Absol still moves first. But unfortunately, Paralysis prevents my attack entirely, and Manectric hits with Shockwave, which does so much damage. Oh great, that's because it got a critical hit. Are you serious? So I lost because I was paralyzed, and Watson got a lucky critical hit right when it mattered. I guess I have to try this again. I make it back to the Magneton, but this time I have my Cherry Berry, so I'm able to heal Paralysis right away and knock it out. That means I'm going to move first against the Manectric, and because of that, my Quick Attack knocks it out. With that, I've earned the Dynamo badge, and with it, Absol gets a 10% boost to its speed stat. Not like it needs it, since Quick Attack is its primary damage dealing move at this time. Up until this point, I've been avoiding skipping trainers, but now that I have Swords Dance, I think it makes sense to train and speed my progress up as much as possible. Plus, I don't need to backtrack through this section of the game too many times. This feels like a big achievement for me because, honestly, at the beginning of playing Generation 3, I sort of wanted to stop just because of how annoying these trainers were. Team Magma and Team Aqua have a little confrontation in Meteor Falls, and then I take the gondola up to the top of the mountain, where I face Maxie. His lead, Mightyena, has Intimidate, and it lowers Absol's attack before the fight begins. However, I've learned Double Team at this point, so I think I should be fine. I want to mention that my rules specifically ban using the TM for Double Team. That means I'm able to use this move if a Pokemon learns it through level up. Absol is one of the lucky Pokemon that does have it as part of its learn set, so today I'm excited to use it a little bit. Unfortunately, trying to raise my evasion means that Mightyena hits me with Sand Attack not once, but twice. That seems fair. Totally fair. If the AI had used double team, I would have missed 5 times with sand attack. Then, because I'm getting quite set up, Maxie has a big brain moment and uses Roar, pulling Abra out into battle. I don't consider this a reset because I have to switch my solo Pokemon back in and then I take a turn of damage. However, in this case, it also resets my setup. At least it takes away the sand attacks. I've had enough of this, so I use Quick Attack doing half, Mighty Yenna uses Bite, which is not very effective, and then I set up Sword Stance on the next turn. My follow-up Quick Attack takes it out, and next is Zubat. I decided to use another Sword Stance here, and on reviewing this footage, I think that's a bit risky. I really wanted to one-hit the following Camerupt, but Zubat does probably have Supersonic or Confuse Ray. I don't want to have another situation occur where Absol knocks itself out again. This time it doesn't. I move on to the Camerupt, and because of my setup, I take it out in a single hit. Now it's time for Laveridge Town. Just before I face Flannery, I want to mention something. The fact that I caught Abra early on for me allows me to teleport around the map, saving time in the process. However, it can only teleport to the last Pokemon Center that I visited. By the way, you don't actually have to heal at the center, you just have to enter and that sets the waypoint. Because the TM for return is at that place up north with the volcanic ash, I don't know what that place is called, I intentionally set my waypoint there and then I collected the meteorite after I defeated Maxie. Instead of using the Pokemon Center here in Laveridge Town, I decided to use items to heal, and then I'll be able to teleport back after Flannery to grab return. She leads with Numel, and it's pretty weak, so I think I can set up here to prepare for her Camerupt and Torkoal. Especially the Torkoal. It's quite defensive and obviously a rock type, so it's going to resist my normal type attacks. Right? She does a bit of damage to me with Magnitude, but after a couple double teams and full setup with Sword Stance, I'm feeling confident about the rest of this fight. I knock Slugma out, and the Camerupt is also a one-hit. It's time for her ace. Quick Attack does a lot of damage, but not quite enough to knock it out. See, clearly it's a rock type. It took so little damage. Also, just look at it. It looks like a rock. It looks like more of a rock than Mag Cargo does. It goes for Overheat, but I should be fine because I have Double Team, and this move is not that accurate. I guess it's the AI using a move, so of course it hits, and it does massive damage, taking Absol out. Maybe the naughty nature was not actually that good. I try again, and this time her Numel does a lot of damage to me while I try to set up. Double Team should obviously be the answer here, right? Well, it's not, because the AI doesn't play by the same rules that the player has to play by, and Overheat still hits, taking Absol to red. I try to set up again, but takedown hits. That's another move that isn't 100% accurate hitting for the AI when I have Double Team. Come on! So that's a second loss. Here's the thing about raising your evasion with Double Team. While it does provide a way to win against pretty much any enemy, it isn't a particularly consistent path to victory. And it also does cost your soul in the process. While we watch me lose again, I want to mention that I think there's a better approach to this fight. If I had used Abra's teleport to take me back to the town that, I don't remember its name, with the one with the volcanic ash, I could have picked up the TM for return and used it against Flannery. While Absol's friendship is not close to maxed out right now, it's at least going to be doing more damage than Quick Attack. I really wish that I had figured that out while I was playing, but I figured this out while I was writing the script. Oh well. So how am I going to beat Flannery without return? I decided to forego using Double Team and just set up with Sword Stance and attempt to sweep. Fewer turns in battle, trying to set up a move that the AI isn't affected by anyways, is hopefully going to give me more health for the Torkoal. Plus, Absol has great attack, so maybe I only need 1 or 2 Sword Stances to 2-hit. I knock the Numel out after using Sword Stance once, and then I decide to set up 1 more on the Slugma. Unfortunately, it goes for a Sunny Day boosted Overheat and does a lot of damage. Well, I guess this is not going to go well. I do manage to take the Camerupt out, and now it's time for the Torkoal. I go for Quick Attack, and it's going to get me the 2-hit, but obviously I'm just going to get KO'd now. However, then, without any double teams, Overheat misses, and Quick Attack finishes it off. Honestly, I just sat here after this fight in disbelief. Okay, I guess I win, but it feels so dirty and unfair. I couldn't win with Double Team, but then I win without it? What? Well, let's keep going. Now I put into play the plan that I mentioned before, and I use Teleport to return to that place and grab TM27. I've spent a lot of time working on my overlay. It's one of the reasons that Generation 3 was delayed so long, and the software that updates all of my stats, you'll also notice that it is updating my power dynamically now. So return is being calculated in real time based on my Pokemon's friendship. Also, each move's power includes the same type attack bonus and any multipliers that are applied by the use of held items. I'm mentioning this now because return has a maximum power of 102. That's because it's calculated by dividing the Pokemon's friendship value by 2.5 and then rounding down. As the video progresses, you'll notice that return's power does creep higher than this threshold, and that's simply because it's getting a boost from an item. So, which items could give boosts? Well, I pick up the black glasses because these could be useful to boost my dark type moves. Unfortunately, after I make it all the way back to Mr. Briny's dock, he's not here. Normally, this would be incredibly annoying, but today I can just use Abra to teleport to Mauville City. On the way south through Slateport, I pick up 3 copies of the TM for Hidden Power. Remember, I set this to a dark type move that has a base power of 70, so it's actually the most powerful dark type move that Absol can learn. In Dewford Town, I grab the second type boosting item, which is the Silk Scarf. I really should have picked this up earlier on, but I only remembered now. This is going to be the item that's boosting Return's power, so yeah, now we've got it. Because I'm very overleveled, I can easily finish Brawley off, and then I head to Petalburg City to face my dad. This fight has been very challenging in the last few playthroughs. How is Absol going to manage it today? Because Return is getting quite powerful, I decide that I should knock the Spinda out right away to avoid confusion from its teeter dance. I do enough damage, it falls, and then Norman sends Slacking in next. Here's the thing, it knows counter, so I decide to set up Swords Dance first turn. I successfully predicted counter, and this means I get 1 turn of free setup in. Now, because it's going to loaf around on the next turn, I could use Swords Dance one more time, or try and 2-hit it with Return. Since I'm outspeeding, I'm going to go for the 2-hit. Return does more than half, but then Slacking heals with a Citrus Berry. I think it's really unfair the AI gets the Citrus Berry before you get access to it. Oh well. Now to play around counter again, I set up with Swords Dance for a second time. Slacking goes for Facade, and thank you for letting me know in the comments that this move's power is doubled if the Pokemon is affected by a status condition. Today there's no status condition on the field though, so it doesn't do enough, and on the next turn I knock the Slacking out. Okay, I'm feeling really good about this now. Vigoroth's next, and Return takes care of it in a single hit. Alright, all that's left is the Linoon. Of course, it's also a 1-hit, and so Absol takes a very easy victory over Norman. His badge, the Balance Badge, gives Absol a 10% boost to its defense stat. Alright, now, let's get going into the later stages of the game. However, first, before I proceed to a new area, I'm going to backtrack using Surf to collect items that I missed up until this point. In the abandoned ship, I grab Ice Beam because Absol can learn it. By the way, just south of the ship, there's a hidden rare candy. It's on this little rock over here. On my way through Mauville City, I talk to Watson, reactivate this generator, and earn myself the TM for Thunderbolt, which Absol can learn, by the way. In the Weather Institute, the Aqua Admin's Mighty Yenna uses Swagger. Oh no, this is definitely foreshadowing what's to come. But this time I don't hit myself in confusion and I knock it out. All is good for now. The scientist gives me this thing, not much of a prize, and then I make quick work of May in the last battle that I have against her. I really wish that the rival had a better, more climactic fight in this game. I know there's the battle outside the department store in Lily Cove City, but since it isn't mandatory, it never really felt that impactful. There's just something about playing a Pokemon game and having the rival ambush you as you're trying to get through a route. It feels so Pokemon. At least they did try and implement this in the remakes because they added a final battle against her after the League. At Fort Tree Gym, Winona leads with Swablu. Because it has Perish Song, I need to knock it out as fast as possible. Luckily, Return does enough damage, and I'm moving on to her next Pokemon. It's Tropius. This thing is so cool, fitting that it appears in the wild on the same route where Absol appears. If only it was a little bit stronger. By the way, I can't wait to do a solo playthrough with it. Because it isn't that intimidating, I can set up Swords Dance here 3 times, and from there, this fight gets a lot easier. The flying grass-type dinosaur gets knocked out in a single hit. Next is Pelipper, and of course, it does not go down in a single hit because it leads with Protect, exclusively to annoy me. I take it out on the next turn, and then Winona sends in Skarmory. Now, I'm hoping that all my setup is gonna give me the 1-hit, but it might not against this defensive steel type. Turns out Return is strong enough and Skarmory falls from the sky. All that's left is her ace, Altaria, but it doesn't stand a chance and Absol takes another easy victory, earning itself the Feather Badge. At the top of Mount Pyre, I grab myself a rare candy, and then I make my way to Lily Cove City. I pick up the TM for rest, gotta have my favorite move after all, and then it's time for the Magma Hideout. I stomp my way through Tabitha and take on Maxi. Mighty Enna's first, and I'm starting to learn that this thing is a giant troll. It isn't as annoying as Pelipper though, because it actually can knock you out. To counteract its Intimidate, I use Swords Dance, raising my attack sharply. Mighty Enna uses Scary Face, cutting Absol's speed. It misses Takedown, and I knock it out with Return. Good thing it didn't go for Swagger. Crobat's next, I hit it with Return, and that takes care of it. The experience levels Absol up. It's really nice not to lose anything by leveling up mid-fight. And then Maxi sends out his ace, Camerupt. However, it isn't that strong, so I'm able to take it out, and that's it for this location. In the Aqua Hideout, I have to face Matt. Nice vest, by the way, Matt. He leads with Mighty Enna, of course. Seems like they gave all the enemy leaders this awful nuisance. I go for Slash, hoping that it's going to get a crit, but it doesn't, and then Mighty Enna uses Swagger. Matt uses a Super Potion, healing it, and Absol takes itself to orange. Then it hits itself in confusion again, and luckily it survives with 15 hit points. Mighty Enna uses Scary Face, sharply lowering my speed, and things do not look good now. But I snap out of confusion and knock it out. However, the following Sharpedo is faster, and it's able to take Absol out. So, yeah, now I have to face Maxi again. I, of course, did not save in front of Matt. I do not think of Matt as a major battle. Anyways, at least Maxi's easy to take out. Now, it's time to beat Matt. Okay, Mighty Enna, please be nice. Unfortunately, this time I'm not nice to myself, because I use Swords Dance, and then after Swagger, I hit myself, and yeah, that's it. Another loss to Matt. Finally, on the third attempt, I managed to take care of this annoying Team Aqua admin, and that's it for this section of the plot. In Shoal Cave, I collect the required ingredients, and then give them to this guy, who gives me a Shell Bell in return. Now, it's time for what might be the most challenging battle in any solo playthrough. It's Tate and Liza. Luckily, this fight isn't 2 versus 1 because I do have the awesome Magikarp on my side. For this fight, I've taught Absol Hidden Power because it's super effective against all their Pokemon. I'm really hoping I'm not going to have to reset too many times. Unfortunately, I'm not able to take the Claydol out in a single hit. Magikarp gets wrecked right away by Psychic. Too bad, it's not going to be able to use Splash. Claydol's Earthquake does about a third to Absol. I take care of Claydol next, and then they send out Solrock as a replacement. Xatu sets up Sunny Day, and my next Hidden Power takes the Solrock down. I'm always surprised how easy this thing is to knock out. Oh, and then Lunatone is just as easy. All that's left is the Xatu now, and because it's been setting up with Calm Mind, I decide to use Return instead of Hidden Power. It survives on red and uses Confuse Ray. Up until now, this status has been my undoing throughout this entire playthrough. At least I won't hit myself particularly hard because I haven't set up with Swords Dance here. Well, Absol still does quite a bit to itself because its attack stat is so fantastic. I mean fantastically bad when confused. Tate and Liza heal with a Hyper Potion, and then another Hyper Potion, and another Hyper Potion. Okay, how many of these do they have? Well, they have 4 in total, so I guess each of them has 2. Really frustrating when they use them all on one Pokemon. Now that they've run out, I'm able to hit 2 returns in a row, and Xatu goes down. So Absol defeated them on its first attempt. It only needed level 48. This is one of the best performances that I've had against them so far in my Hoenn playthroughs. While the plotline does take time, it's usually quite easy. Most of this section of the game is just defeating grunts and then the leaders of the teams, but they aren't particularly challenging either. I still save before Maxi and Archie, just in case. Archie leads with Mighty Enna, of course he does. I use Return to knock it out as fast as possible, but it survives on orange and uses Scary Face, cutting Absol's speed. He uses a Super Potion, healing the Mighty Enna, but it isn't enough and I take it out on the next turn. Crobat's next. I decide to use Swords Dance once, but right before I use Return, it confuses Absol, and with my newly boosted attack, I take myself into red. Crobat hits with Air Cutter, and Absol goes down. Alright, I guess I shouldn't have underestimated Archie. I get lucky in the next fight and crit the Mighty Enna, taking it out in a single turn. But once again, my strategy to set up on the Crobat fails miserably because of confusion. So yeah, confusion here, it's really frustrating. Instead of setting up, let's try to just brute force and knock out all of his Pokemon as fast as possible. This works against the Mighty Enna, but at the Crobat I fail to knock it out and it confuses me again. Are you serious? When I do eventually manage to take it out, it comes at a great cost, because I only have 4 hit points left for his final Sharpedo. Because the Mightyena used Scary Face, my speed's cut, so it moves first and finishes Absol again. That's 3 losses against Archie. I can't believe it. I try to adjust my strategy by setting up at the start of the fight against the Mightyena. Yeah, I know, probably not the best idea, but this fizzles when Absol hits itself. Alright, that's 4 losses. I try again. This time though, I'm so proud to say that I finally figured it out. I bring a Person Berry into the battle to negate Mightyena's swagger. I don't need it this time, however my speed is still cut going into the fight against the Crobat. This could go wrong with Confusion, but it goes for Wing Attack instead, doesn't do enough damage, and I finally finish it off and the following Sharpedo. Okay, that was way too hard against Archie. With him out of the way, I wake Rayquaza up and finish the plotline off, earning myself the privilege of facing the Lego Man himself, Juan. Luvdisc is first, and since it's very weak, I bring a Person Berry into the battle again, just so that I can set up Swords Dance for free until it confuses me. Unfortunately, it does so first turn, so I have to start attacking right away. Return gets the KO against his lead, and the following Whiscash. Celio is no different. Yes, I fixed my pronunciation from Celo. I don't know why I was saying Celo. Anyways, Celio is no different, and then the following Crawdaunt also goes down in one hit. Is Absol going to be able to take out the Kingdra too? Yes, it is. With that, I've earned myself the final badge, and now I'm heading off towards Pokemon League. In my way is Wally, but of course, he's no challenge. There's only 6 trainers left, however, they are the best in the game. So how is Absol going to do? Sydney's first, and I think out of all the members of the league, he's the weakest. However, they did give him Mightyena as a lead, which means he starts off with some trolley tactics. I try to set up Swords Dance, but that means I get hit by Sand Attack twice in the process. At least when I finally use Return, it hits and takes his lead out. Next is Shiftry. I really do not like this thing's design. I feel like I have to mention that every single time I see it. Like, it's got its chin is its crotch. Let's just like, ugh. Because Ice Beam is super effective, I use it, despite the fact that Return obviously would be a one-hit. As a result, Shiftry survives and uses Torment. This move is very interesting and annoying. It forces the affected Pokemon to use a different move every turn, which can really mess up a sweep, especially after you've set up. I tried alternating between attacking moves and Calm Mind to set up a little bit more, but it doesn't work and Absol goes down. Honestly, I think this one was just a major misplay. Attacking the Mightyena right away can take it out in 2 turns and prevent 1 Sand Attack. Next is Shiftry, and this time without setup, Ice Beam makes more sense. Especially because in this case, I get the freeze. I almost celebrated here because I'm used to Generation 1, but yeah, after 1 turn of Calm Mind, he just full restores. Because of Sand Attack, my next Ice Beam misses, so that's annoying, and Shiftry uses Swagger, confusing Absol. Oh gosh, this status again, are you kidding me? However, that doesn't prevent the next Ice Beam from scoring the knockout. Absol hits itself against Cacturn, nice health, and then Return connects for the KO. Return one-hits Crawdaunt, and now it's time for Disaster Dog versus Disaster Dog, but mine's faster and stronger. A single Return finishes Sydney's ace off. Phoebe's next, and her team's strategy revolves around PP stalling you. The first Dusclops is excellent at doing this with the use of Protect. In this case, it isn't like Pelipper, it's not just trying to be annoying, it's actually useful. Because of the ability Pressure, every time you use a move and it protects, it stalls 2 PP out. I'm trying to get the KO right away with Hidden Power, because I also don't want it to use Curse. As she has 5 team members, and Curse does 25% per turn, it's a death sentence if her first Pokemon can successfully land it and you're doing a solo challenge. Unfortunately, Hidden Power doesn't quite do enough damage, and Phoebe uses a full restore. But because I'm outspeeding, I will be able to get the KO. Unfortunately, however, Confusion. This video's thematic status condition causes Absol to deal damage to itself, prolonging the fight against her lead. Still, I managed to take it out and move on to the Banette, and it doesn't know Curse. As a result, I can set up Calm Mind here, boosting Hidden Power's damage. With 3 turns of setup, I think that this is going to be enough to get the one hit on the majority of her remaining Pokemon. Her Ace Dusclops is pretty tanky though, and it might take 2 hits. The first Banette goes down, Absol levels up to 56, and then Hidden Power KOs the Sableye as well. Okay, while I take out the second Banette, I just want to say her Ace Dusclops is pretty tanky, and it might take 2 hits. Surprisingly though, I hit it with Hidden Power, and it goes down. So this fight started off a little bit annoying, but Absol was still able to take home a first attempt victory. Now I'm going to mention that throughout the playthrough I collected a lot of useful and powerful TMs. Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Calm Mind. To this point, they haven't been particularly useful. I only taught Absol Calm Mind before Sydney, and it was really only useful to defeat Phoebe. I thought I might want to save Thunderbolt for later and be a little bit flexible with my moves. I'm not going to use it against Drake, of course. So I taught Absol Shockwave just for the fight against Glacia. But yeah, this isn't packing the punch that I needed to, and that leads to a reset. Honestly, I think Calm Mind sort of seduced me here. If I just spam Swords Dance against the first Celio and bring the Cherry Berry into the fight to prevent Body Slam's paralysis, then I can take a quick and easy victory against her using Return. I thought that Drake wasn't going to be an issue. After all, he starts with Shelgon, and it's the perfect opportunity to set up. It's really not very good, but it does have access to Rock Tomb, which lowers Absol's speed, and this lets the following Pokemon get a hit in every turn. It doesn't matter if I'm knocking them out in one hit, because the damage stacks up and finally Kingdra knocks me out. There's a simple solution to this. Set up once against the Shelgon, knock it out with Ice Beam, and then continue my setup later in the fight if I really want to. I choose to do this right away on Altaria, but because this thing's setting up Dragon Dance, it's going to get a bit scary. Still, Ice Beam does 4 times damage and takes it out. Kingdra's next. I go for Ice Beam because my special attack is higher than my attack right now. While I don't get the KO here, I do get the freeze. From there, things are easy. I one-shot the Flygon and the following Salamence with Ice Beam. So, Absol's made it to the champion. It's time for the big boy itself, Wailord. I set up one turn of Calm Mind to raise Absol's special defense. It's going to be useful against these water types after all. Wallace chooses Blizzard, and it does about a third. However, it also freezes Absol. Luckily enough, I defrost right away and I set up another Calm Mind. Knowing that my special defense is getting high, Wallace uses Double Edge, taking Absol to orange health. I won't survive another one of those. I should probably start attacking now. Thunderbolt hits and takes Wailord down. Next is Tentacruel. This thing has a monstrous 120 base special defense, and that allows it to survive Thunderbolt. At least I paralyzed it. However, it still gets to attack with Sludge Bomb, and this does so much damage to Absol. It survives with only 4 hit points. I do knock it out, but the Ludicolo that follows isn't going to go down. So that's my first reset against the champion. Maybe Swords Dance is a better idea. Return will do more damage to the Tentacruel and the Ludicolo after all. However, once again, Wailord's first Blizzard freezes. I can't believe this. No lucky defrost this time, and Water Spout finishes me. Okay, let's try that again. First turn, I go for Swords Dance while it sets up the Rain. I go for another Swords Dance. I was a bit greedy here because then a Rain-boosted Water Spout completely obliterates Absol. I should have seen that one coming. Maybe it makes more sense to just attack. Well, it's going to take 2 turns to knock the Wailord out, and Absol takes damage in the process. Tentacruel's next, and Return can't knock it out in a single hit. It gets a Hydro Pump in, and that finishes me off. Alright, this isn't going well. I tried one more time to get 2 turns of Swords Dance in, but then Wailord gets me with a massive crit from Blizzard. Oh my gosh, it's had such good luck with Blizzard. I decide to reset right away because the fight's not going to be possible from this point, and then I decide to try the fight with only 1 turn of Swords Dance. After all, I am forced into this after Water Spout takes Absol down to red health. So how is Return gonna do? Well, it 1-hits Wailord, 1-hits Tentacruel, 1-hits Ludicolo, and 1-hits the Whiscash. Wallace sends out Gyarados next, and this triggers an Intimidate, lowering Absol's attack 1 stage. I should be able to survive a hit though, so I try to knock it out. I think I was a bit hyperfixated here on the fact that my doggo is really great at using physical attacks, so I completely missed using Thunderbolt. Whoops. As a result, I don't get the KO, and Gyarados finishes me off. So, Water Spout's damage is based on how much health Wailord has. If I lower its health with Return on turn 1, then Water Spout deals significantly less damage. Absol survives with nice health, and then I can use Swords Dance to improve my own damage ranges. Wailord misses a Blizzard, and this gives me time to set up 1 more. Alright, please be the luck that I need. With +4, I'm able to 1-hit everything now, but what about the Gyarados? Intimidate lowers my attack, but it isn't enough, so I'm able to take it out. All that's left is my Melodic. Return hits, and that's it. I've defeated the champion. I was able to do it in 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 38 seconds with 27 resets at level 59 with a game time of 7 hours and 7 minutes. Of all the Pokemon that I've used in Hoenn so far, Absol felt like one of the strongest. But it isn't done yet, because the hardest trainer in the game is waiting for me in Meteor Falls. To prepare for this battle, I go to the game corner and purchase the TM for Flamethrower. Many of you mentioned in the comments that I should use these TMs earlier on, and I really want to, but they're just so expensive. At this point, I only have enough money available to buy one. I really did want both Flamethrower and Ice Beam here, but I'll have to make do with just one. In post, Leary, she's my editor who is editing the script, mentioned to me that the amulet coin, which doubles the amount of money earned from battles, is actually available after we beat Dad. If we go back to Littleroot, our mom will give it to us, and that way I can earn more money throughout the later stages of the game. While this won't make me a millionaire, it would make me able to afford maybe 1 or 2 more extra TMs here. Good to know for next time. Since I'm poor this time though, I have to use Water Pulse as a replacement for Ice Beam, so yeah, I think it's going to be better than Return against Steven Stone's Rock and Steel types. I brought a Pecha Berry into this fight so that it can be used to heal Skarmory's Toxic. Since it also likes to use spikes, I figured that I could take my time and set up a few Calm Minds here. I get 2 in, and then it uses Steel Wing, which does almost half. Ouch, that hit really hard. I go for a 3rd Calm Mind, and then Skarmory uses Toxic, so now I have to start attacking, because if it poisons me again, then I'm done for. Flamethrower hits, and it knocks the Steel Bird out in a single hit. Well, I guess it's more like an airplane. Steel Bird doesn't sound like it would fly particularly well. Armaldo's next, and this grass bug type is obviously going to take a lot of damage from Flamethrower. Wait, what? It didn't even do half. Armaldo retaliates with Ancient Power, and it takes Absol to 10 hit points. Oh yeah, I guess this thing is a rock type. I use Water Pulse, and it takes it out. Okay, next is Claydol, and if I want any chance of knocking out the rest of his Pokemon, I'm going to need more health. So I go for Rest. I really don't like using this move with such a fragile Pokemon, but I figured that Claydol was just going to spend its time setting up Light Screen and Reflect. Unfortunately, he uses Ancient Power, followed by Light Screen, okay that's good, and then followed by Earthquake, which does just too much damage to Absol. I have to heal again, but then it consistently dishes out damage and knocks me out while I'm sleeping. So that's my first loss against Steven. Luckily for me, I didn't use any rare candies, so if I use all of them, I can take Absol up to level 71 for the next fight. Please let this be enough. Same strategy as before. I set up Calm Mind and wait for Skarmory to use Toxic. After getting poisoned, I strike back and knock it out with Flamethrower. Against Armaldo, I decided to continue setting up, hoping that that would make the sweep after it much easier. However, Flamethrower still doesn't KO and it finishes me with Slash. So there's another factor that makes this fight hard, more than just Steven's typing, and that's the fact that Skarmory can also deal a lot of damage when it decides to use moves other than Spikes and Toxic. This takes Absol down to red health before the Armaldo. So apparently I'm not allowed to knock this thing out in one hit, and it takes me down again. You're probably wondering, what if Water Pulse would do more damage than Flamethrower? Apparently though it doesn't, because in the very next fight Armaldo survives with red health and finishes me off once again. I decided to come back with the Shell Bell because maybe healing after every hit would help out. I thought that this would act as a form of recovery so I could give up Rest. However, this only works if Skarmory decides to be kind and not use Toxic. Rest obviously provides a way to heal from Toxic, however, Skarmory can still dish out enough damage to KO while Absol's asleep. Alright, I hear your criticism. You're saying that I'm being really stubborn and wasting time. Just go and train. Okay, I will. I defeat Wally in Victory Road and level up so that Absol is level 73. This takes me over the next damage rounding threshold and gives a bit more of a punch as a result. Unfortunately though, it doesn't seem to be my level that's holding me back. It's my strategy. Calm Mind takes too long to set up, and it exposes Absol because it's taking too much damage with its weaker physical defenses. While setting up Swords Dance is faster, it's less effective because of Steven's Steel and Rock types that resist normal type attacks. I'm realizing now while I'm writing the script that I could use Iron Tail, but 75% accuracy, that's not a good idea. Shadow Ball is also another possibility, but I always forget that Ghost type attacks are physical in this generation. What about a Ghost is physical? Nothing, that's what. Also, Rock Smash is possible, but a base 20 power move doesn't seem like the best idea against potentially the most powerful trainer in the game. There is another way. I fly back to this place, I have no idea what it's called. Well, I do, but as a kid I just never was over here and I never talked about this place, it's just gonna be that place from now on. So in that place, there's the move reminder, and I can give him a heart scale in exchange for teaching Absol double team again. It feels fitting to use this move with the dark type. Actually, thinking about it now, why didn't they change double team to a dark type move? That seems really fitting. Actually, Sand Attack should also have its typing changed to a dark type move now that I think about it as well. Alright, let's get back on track. So here's my new moveset for the fight against Steven. Rest, Double Team, Flamethrower, and Calm Mind. I start with Double Team right away to hopefully minimize damage that Steven's able to deal. Skarmory's first Steel Wing misses, that's good. After all, it only has 90% accuracy. I can set up with Double Team again while Skarmory uses Spikes, so that's free. I don't need full setup for my evasion, just enough to allow me to heal with Rest. So I start to set up Calm Mind now. While Skarmory does poison me with Toxic, this doesn't matter because I have Rest. Also, Double Team in combination with Rest allows me to switch from a Pecha Berry to something that's going to be more useful throughout this entire fight. In this case, I'm choosing the Shell Bell. Before resting, I set up Double Team one more time, and then I regain all my health. There is one flaw in this strategy, and that's that Skarmory knows Aerial Ace, which bypasses accuracy checks to always hit. Luckily, Absol wakes up at the perfect moment and strikes back with Flamethrower, taking the airplane out. I only have 2 turns of Calm Mind at this point, so I should probably take my time against the Armaldo. I use Rest, and then after I wake up, I decide to set up more. I go all the way to +5 from Calm Mind, and then I knock it out with Flamethrower. Finally, it went down in a single hit. Claydol's next. I finish my setup with Calm Mind to ensure that I can knock out the Cradily because this thing is so tanky. This thing is becoming notoriously awful to fight against in these playthroughs. I set up Double Team a few more times, and then Rest to replenish my health. Because of Light Screen, Flamethrower doesn't knock the Claydol out right away, but it burns, and so I can take it out next turn. Aggron that follows is a one-hit, and Cradily is most certainly not. Despite being green, and a grass type, it takes less than half from Flamethrower. Yes, I do know that it is also part rock, and that rock resists fire. In this case, it took so little damage because of Light Screen, however it wears off on the next turn, and so I can knock it out after that. All that's left is Metagross. Flamethrower knocks it out, and Absol clocks in with a time of 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 47 seconds, with 38 resets at level 74, and all of this in a game time of 7 hours and 55 minutes. As things stand right now, that's the second fastest time that I've got in Generation 3. It's only 1 minute and 7 seconds slower than Blaziken's first attempt. Also, I genuinely think that I played terribly with Absol. So many times I missed using Person Berries against the evil team's Mightyenas, setting up at terrible times with Double Team and Swords Dance as well. Also, I hyperfixated slightly too long against Steven with Calm Mind strategies before switching back to Double Team. I should have seen that that was the way to defeat him. While Absol was only slightly slower than Blaziken, it did have more than double the number of resets. Blaziken had 19 and Absol had 38. Also in good news, Absol managed to tie Ludicolo for the lowest level at 74. Finally, it finished the game with the least amount of game time, sneaking in just under the 8-hour mark. I think these are quite impressive results. Still, as I learn this game, my results are going to continue to improve dramatically, so remember that this leaderboard should be taken with a grain of salt. If one of your favorites is ranked lower down because I played it a while ago, don't worry. Do you really think that I'm only going to play the game one time with all of these Pokemon? Also, I just want to note that if you look at the chronology column, you'll notice that there are some numbers that are not currently accounted for. Well, I've done some playthroughs on my stream that I haven't quite yet made videos for. Those will be coming to the channel soon, so like, subscribe, and ring the chime echo so you'll be notified when they do. Thanks to all my patrons for their support. If you've made it this far, you're incredible. Now, it's bloopers time. Up until this point, I've mentioned that I'm not skipping trainers, but now that I have Swords Dance, I think it makes sense to try and speed my progress up as much as possible. Plus, I don't need to backtrack through this section of the game too many times. Come on. No, Sean Connery, go away. I decided to use another Swords Dance here, so hopefully I'll one-hit the camera up, but I think this is risky now that I'm reviewing the footage. That's because Zubat likely has Supersonic or Confuse Ray, and I don't want another Guitarist situation to ploy out, yes. I stomp my way past Tagatha, yes. Come on. I saw the THA at the end and I was like, Agatha, because there's an A in there as well. Agatha, but it's Tabitha. I'm able to hit 2 returns in a row. Now that they've ran out, I'm able to hit 2. Oh, come on. Stop burping. I need to read this line. Celio is no different. Thanks. I used to pronounce it Celo. I don't know why. It's obviously Celio. Yeah, Celio is no different. And then the following Crawdant Crawdant. Yeah, that's of course a Crawdant. I like fix the Celio pronunciation, then get Crawdant. Flamethrower knocks it out, and Absol clocks in with a time of 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 47 seconds, with 38 resets at level 74, and with a game time of 7 hours and 75 minutes. 70, that doesn't make sense. I thought that Drake wasn't going to be an issue. After all, he starts with Shelgon, and it's the perfect opportunity to set up opportunity. Actually, Sand Attack should also have its typing changed to a Dark type move now that I think about it as well. Oh, fine. I'm thinking of more moves too that should be Dark type. All the troll moves, Dark types. Swagger should be a Dark type move. There is one flaw in this strategy though, and that's that Skarmory knows Aerial Ace, which bypasses area checks. Yes, that's what it does. Come on. Aerial Ace. Area checks. That's why I said that. Phoebe's next, and her team's strategy revolves around PP stalling. Come on. Phoebe's next, and her team's strategy revolves. Phoebe's next, and her team's strategy revolves. Come on. Revolve is not a hard word to say.